AIs have an amazing ability to understand a person's emotional states.
Okay.
And it outperforms humans. So being understood, the AI might very well give you the feeling that it understands you better.
Hello and welcome to Intangiblia. Today we have a very special guest, and we're going to talk about the topic that is in everyone's mind, in everyone's mouth. So it's AI, but with a twist. We're going to talk about accessible by design, how AI can open the doors of justice. So we have here Nicolas Torrent. Welcome to Intangiblia.
Thanks for welcoming me.
He's a lawyer. Let me know if I'm correct or not.
No, that's true.
For now, right?
There's good things about me too.
Okay, so Nicolas, or in Spanish, Nicolas, he's a lawyer who doesn't just follow legal innovation, he helps build it. From designing platforms for online dispute resolution to shaping the legal tech ecosystem in Switzerland. He worked on online arbitration platforms, designed legal softwares to simplify contract management, and advocated for using AI to automate and include. This conversation is about AI that is not a threat to the legal system, but a bridge that can connect courts to the people they're meant to serve. Let's explore how justice becomes scalable, human-centered, and even sustainable. So the first question, please introduce yourself and let us know how you came to be here in Switzerland, in Geneva.
Sure. So I was actually born here. So I studied here all my life. I had a brief experience of a couple of years in Paris to sell software. That was the arbitration platform you mentioned. And since then, I came back to Switzerland and I've been building quite a lot of projects related to making the legal world easier to navigate for everybody, basically.
Okay. And because usually lawyers, we are quite traditional in the way we're trained, the way we are taught. What gave you this edge for going for technology or technological areas?
Yeah, I guess I just like tech. I was really bad at math, but
Yes.
I wasn't bad
Me
at
too.
language.
Okay.
So when it didn't work out with math, I tried doing polytechnics in Lausanne. But when that didn't work out, I thought, okay, well, I'll just go for words. It's logic as well.
Yeah.
And that worked out better because there were very few maths involved, and many lawyers actually don't like math. So I feel that I fit right in.
Yeah. I think it's a universal thing. There are some few tax lawyers who like math, but the rest of us is quite some. It's a topic for another profession.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And you've seen the legal system from inside the courtrooms and through the lens of legal tech. In your view, what is the biggest obstacle today to making justice truly accessible for the general public?
I think it's really a combination of elements. There's no single factor because it depends who's looking at the problem. But the number one issue I'm hearing about is price. It's how much does it cost? Because people don't just think, oh, the court is going to cost me that much. They also think I'm going to have to pay for a lawyer. And they have often misconceptions about how much a lawyer costs. So the price is an issue. It's difficult to navigate when you're alone and you're trying to figure out how much it's going to cost you. People need predictability. They need budgeting. They need to be able to see things from their own economic situations perspective. Another issue is the physical or the cognitive accessibility. If you're living outside of one of the big cities, it gets much harder to access a tribunal. And you might have some family obligations, you might have some professional obligations, you might have different kind of constraints that prevent you from accessing a court. And likewise, if you're a person with disabilities, it can also be quite a challenge to navigate a court system because it wasn't designed for people with disabilities. So this is, again, something that is not, that hasn't followed the trends that we're seeing today. We're also seeing that the interface to operate in the court system isn't really very fluid. It's there isn't contextual guidance. There isn't any help outside of the help you can get from a lawyer. Judges put a lot of effort into helping people when they see that one of the parties isn't comfortable. Very often the judge will try to help them out, but they're limited in how much they can help because they have to remain impartial and independent. So that is also an obstacle for some people. Then you have a lag that is inherent to the legal system. The legal system cannot preempt innovation. The legal system has to adapt to how the society evolves. So if we see that the market is trending towards a certain direction, that doesn't mean that we can immediately engage the legal process, come up with new regulations, revamp the courts. We can't do that. We have to make sure that before we start changing the legal system, the trend that we're observing and which we want to adapt for is here to stay. We have to make sure that the changes we're adapting to are permanent to a certain extent, of course. And finally, the language. The legal language is not easily accessible. We've done a lot of progress. We've made a lot of progress in helping people navigate this. There's a lot of help online available. The chatbots are multiplying, but it's still a formalized process. And using the wrong vocabulary can sometimes have a detrimental effect on the rights you have. So I would say those four elements are the main obstacles to people feeling comfortable using court systems.
Yeah, in language, that is so much important to make sure that first it's a balance. You want to make sure that people understand what you're saying or understand the full stand of the legal process, but you don't want to use a language that is deceiving as well. Because as we know, as lawyers, synonyms in common language can be totally different things under the law. So it's a tricky balance to find.
It's a very tricky balance, and sometimes you don't have the choice. If you don't use the right terminology, then you're not enforcing the right rights, or you're not defending yourself effectively. You're not presenting your case in the most persuasive manner to a trained, legal-minded judge. And likewise, if you have another, if your opponent has a lawyer that may want to act a bit aggressively, which I want to mention is completely okay because they have to defend the interests of their client. That is completely fine. But that also means they have to exploit it when you make a mistake.
Of
because
course.
That's to the benefit of their client, and we want lawyers fighting for us. So those are hurdles.
It's true. It's true. It could be meat for them to bite on.
Don't give meat to the sharks.
Okay, it's true. So you have helped build an e-arbitration platform and have worked with AI-powered tools. What's the most promising way AI can simplify access to dispute resolution for people and small businesses?
There's several areas. First of all, there's the kind of dispute, and then there's the general process. So maybe I'll focus for now on the general legal process. The first thing is user centricity. We can build the dispute set system around the needs of the users, because now we have really advanced design methods. We can really create effective interfaces. We can make things easy to use even for people who are not accustomed to using new technologies. And this is something we should leverage. This is typically the field of legal design. We know that by building effective designs for legal work, we increase engagement from our clients. We know that C-suite decision makers will more easily engage with the legal documents if it's been formatted using the UI design principles. Design principles. We know how to simplify terminology so that the person knows what's expected of them. We know how to design ergonomic workflows, so that if you're wondering what you need to do, then you can understand from the interface that you have in front of you how you should do that. That is really critical. Second, we need to use data. We've been creating a really large amount of court data. And I've been advocating for 2-3 years, I can't remember, a couple of years, 3 years at least, that we should be leveraging court data to inform decision making. It's not saying we're doing copy pasting. It's saying these are the odds, or this is how a dispute like the one you're experiencing gets resolved in practice. You can leverage that. You can leverage that to improve transactions, settlements. You can leverage that so that you ensure that there's an equal application of the law for everyone. You can detect bias. You can detect perhaps personal prejudice from judges or from case law in general. It's really important to leverage all this data that we're accumulating so that we can help people better resolve their disputes. It's not usable the same way for every kind of dispute, but every kind of dispute can benefit from that data in one way or another. And then we have to think about the outcome. Probably we need to make dispute resolution faster.
Okay.
One of the reasons why is because if people believe they can have a fair decision in a short amount of time, they're willing to take more risks. That is generally a driver of economic stimulus.
Okay.
You're willing to take more risks if the risk you're facing is reduced because you have trust in a system that it's going to be able to adjudicate the dispute quickly and fairly. And your investments will be protected, your economic activities protected. This is something that really helps. And then you also want to be able to address claims faster because sometimes people are in a very tough spot. And if you're not able to get them out of that tight spot fast enough, they may encounter issues that are really difficult to get out of later. So speed, outcome, quality, all of that is are aspects that we can work on with the new tools available and leveraging the data that we're accumulating.
Yeah, because trust in the system makes everything else a bit easier or a bit, it's something else less to be worried about. And then the speed, the efficiency, and the being able to navigate without feeling lost is quite an endeavor, and it's something that is not very attainable right now for most people.
It's getting better because, I mean, you have some startups building chatbots that can help navigate.
Okay.
We have some lawyers that are rethinking how they're offering legal services. We have some judges that are more sensitive to the struggles that people can be facing. But we now have the tools to really take a step forward. But as I said, there's lag between what the courts can do and how fast they can do it.
Yeah.
Because in any case, if you want to change the court system to a certain extent, this becomes a political discussion.
You need to change the law.
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. But in any case, it becomes a political discussion. And you need to make sure that we reach a consensus so that the solution is acceptable. And we don't get challenged every X years by somebody who wants to, who feels that they haven't been heard and that they have valid claims. So
yeah. So this is a good segue to the next question. There's often tension between making justice faster and making it further. How do we use technology to balance affordability and death, especially when public trust is fragile?
So public trust, I have to say, we're quite privileged in
Yes,
Switzerland
that's true.
because of the consensus building system.
Mhm.
Everybody gets to be heard. At least a wide majority of the population gets to be heard. And the fact that it's a small country means we know each other quite well. So that really helps to tone down the potential rifts that can build over time.
Mhm.
But in any case, the first thing is AI acts as a multiplier in many cases. So the studies that have looked into how AI affects legal work, as far as I'm aware, there's only one study that was really done outside of the OpenAI Microsoft environment. So one, at least presumably transparent, independent study that showed that the main impact is speeding up the legal work.
Mm.
The study dates back to 2023.
Okay.
So those are tools that were widely less capable than what we have now.
Mhm.
But those tools still, in 2023, allowed for a gain in efficiency of almost 23%. So you can be at least 23% faster. And that's not nothing. That's almost a
No.
quarter. Then it allows you to highlight patterns. AI is really good with pattern recognition. So if you all of a sudden want to know whether your court system is really truly fair, if it's somehow affected by prejudice in certain places, in other cases, you can audit your case law using AI to try and pinpoint where the system isn't operating as it should. That's a really beneficial way to use it. Obviously, you always have to keep a human in the loop. You cannot just let the reins go.
Okay.
But you can enhance the capability of the human actors of the court system by giving them access to more information, to more insights. For example, if a lawyer needs to answer their clients to explain, well, what are the odds of winning or what are the odds of losing?
Big question that they always ask.
Exactly, because the clients want to make data-informed decisions.
Of course.
And if lawyers just told clients, we've had 10 cases like yours, we won 7 of them. On average, it cost us between 8 and 12K, or it took between 7 and 10 months. You are giving data.
Yeah.
And it's much better for the client than simply saying your chances are good. And the price and time, it depends on the judge.
Yeah.
You need to give the clients data because that allows them to plan.
Yeah, of course.
And that allows them to measure risk. So if you are actually leveraging the data of the courts, then you're more likely to be able to convince your client whether it's a good idea to go forward or not. If the client decides not to move forward, which they can do today if you say that their odds are not great, which you sometimes have to tell them as a lawyer, well, maybe they'll think, oh, but was it not great 49% or not great 9%?
Okay.
Maybe it's 49, they would have said, no, I still want to take a shot.
Is that
Maybe
risk
if
that
it's
they will
9,
manage?
they still want to take a shot.
Okay.
Because people have a really hard time working with a spectrum.
Yeah.
It's very easy to work with 0 and 100, but working with 23.4, that's really complicated.
Yeah.
So if you tell most people the risk is low, they'll just assume it's 0. But if you can put a number on it, then it allows to put the answer into perspective. So that really helps. And likewise, if you inform a client that their claim is unlikely to succeed, they might decide to go see a lawyer because they think the lawyer will increase their chances of success.
Of course.
Because you can present the case differently. The client doesn't know what's the best way to present a case. They don't know the judges. They don't have the persuasion that a lawyer may hold over a judge. Some lawyers have an incredible reputation that they can leverage to the client's benefit. So you might want to take that risk. And you might want to decide to actively consult a lawyer because you think that's really going to make a difference. So it's very difficult to see how it impacts in practice, but there are a lot of moving parts in this.
So is a numbers game. That would be the overall idea, but also is the having all the information at hand, because as you said before, some people are more risk averse, some other are more risk takers. So you have someone that say, well, you only have 2% chance of winning. I say, yeah, but I have a 2%. They will see it like that and say, we're going to do it because I believe it's the right course for me or for my company. And then you will have people, oh, you have 80% chance of winning. Saying, oh, so there's 20% that maybe we don't pursue it. So it's, and having the privilege of information, I believe, is the most important part here, to make sure that you have all the tools and then you decide if you use them or not.
Yeah, definitely.
Perfect. I like that. And hopefully it will be something near in the future that we can assess and say, oh, how many cases about this and this has been brought to the court.
Yeah, I think it's already happening in some jurisdictions. I mean, it's the logical next step to digitalizing the court system. And we know that some states have already done that in parts. Some institutions are doing that. We know that it's the next step. It's just a logical next step to take because you're building case data. You're building data. So then the next question is, what do I do with it?
How do I use it?
And most judges in the world have a case law, a backlog of case law, a backlog of cases that is really difficult to handle.
Yeah.
The most justice systems are understaffed.
Yes.
So the next logical step is, can I leverage that data to lower the backlog, make sure that people get an answer quicker? That's really a very natural way to move forward.
To make process that can be more efficient, to make them more efficient.
Exactly.
Making sure that, for example, admin work, that can be a processing the documentation, the evidence, all that can be done faster and more efficient ways.
Yeah, exactly.
So that can help to make it faster. And also for the same part of the understanding the evidence, all this to know the elements of the evidence is also can be done by AI, of course, with a human eye, surveilling, making sure that everything is accurate, but it will make it faster and easier to understand.
Yeah, definitely.
Then we're going back to design. So people talk about legal empowerment, but the interfaces are still designed for lawyers. Well, we're not that bad, but we're not everyone's cup of tea either. What role should design and user experience and language simplification play in building AI system for legal access?
We've seen very successful cases. I was mentioning before how legal design had helped lawyers communicate with decision makers in companies, how in-house counsels sometimes also use legal design to make their advice more intelligible. Intelligible. No, but we observe that it results in higher engagement. We observe that it smoothens the dialogue. And we've seen it already happen in the medical industry. We've seen doctors being actively trained to avoid the medical lingo when talking to patients.
Wow.
Because the patients need to understand what's affecting them as clearly as possible.
Of course.
And we've been doing that as well in the legal industry. A lot of lawyers have been sensitized to the communication challenge with the public. And we've seen a lot of projects by different lawyers across the world to try and bridge that communication gap. So that's really important. User experience specifically is a very interesting tool to use. User experience is basically trying to bridge the communication between a human and a machine. This is not just some drawing on a board. You can have a PhD in user experience design. you cannot have a PhD in drawing.
Okay.
That's the level of difference. What you're using is psychocognitive psychology.
Oh.
Cognitive psychology.
Mm-hmm.
You're using cognitive psychology to understand how a human is going to interact with an interface to make sure that they can accomplish the task that they have in mind when they're performing an action.
Okay.
That's why when you have a car, the brakes are not in the trunk. The brakes are under your foot because that's where you have the most power when you need to stop a car. It's not in your fingers.
Mm.
If you can stomp on the brakes, that's the most effective way to stop a car that doesn't have ABS or any kind of AI assistance in it. And that's how we started it.
Yeah.
So that's why this tool is so powerful. I mean, you almost don't have any software nowadays in large corporations that comes out without a really intense UX review.
Of course.
And that's how search engines went from dictionaries.
1,000 things.
It was really overloaded pages.
Yeah, very populated.
And now we just have a search bar.
Yeah.
And the search bar has been improving over time.
Mm.
But it's one of those very few cases where incremental improvements didn't result in losing people or people complaining that we're adding useless features, etc.
Yeah.
It's just getting better and better.
Yes.
So applying UX design principles to the legal system in general can definitely help make it more accessible. And UX does include simple language. If you're thinking about buttons, well, if you have a button called file a claim, it's not as easy to comprehend. It requires more brain calories than if you just have submit or I'm done.
Yeah.
So you try to figure out what's the best way for the user to understand what they're doing and what the impact of their actions are going to be.
And symbolism is very important as well. Making sure that you have the right symbols that convey the right message.
It's actually not that natural at all to read. We're not reading creatures. Instinctively, we respond better to action, to stimuli, to visuals, because we were designed that way.
Yeah.
Reading is a very uncommon characteristic in the natural environment.
New.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, 5,000 years old, reading? No, maybe less, but at least it's Babylonian, I think. But anyway.
A few less. we were visual animals first.
Cuneiform. But it's definitely not something that we respond as well to as clear visual indications that we can comprehend because they tell us what needs to be done.
Yeah.
A very simple example is a dog. If a dog comes and scratches your leg and then it walks to the door, most people understand better what that means than if the dog were able to write, I need to go out. The reason is because you don't know why it wants to go out. But by by scratching your leg like that, there is an inferred notion that it's important and that it's urgent.
Yeah.
And you also know dog behavior. So you're just going to try to figure out what they want. And if they just walk to the door or to the water dish or to the food dish or whatever, you're just going to understand what they want better. It's easier to understand if you can use the correct visuals. Yeah. But that, again, it's also culture sensitive.
Oh, interesting. It's interesting. It reminds me of, I have 2 kids. And, when they are babies, when nonverbal, they cannot speak. So you have to guess what they want. Yeah. But then you start to realize that there are different cries and there are different ways that they complain about things and that there are nuances to that. And then you start understand, even they're not talking yet, but they're telling you what they need. And you learn as well because you by error and you start learning how to better understand what they're trying to tell you. And this is something that's visually it comes more natural. It comes more natural when they point at things or they tell you, or they, for my youngest son, he points at the bottle when he wants milk, for example. But I was saying, and my oldest, when she said, milk, 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 I say, well, do you really want milk? And because she's 3, it's like, do you want something else? So I negotiate with her, so it's different. But I think my son's way is more efficient because he only takes milk and I immediately go and give him the milk.
Yeah. And you can see it also in LinkedIn posts nowadays, that pointing thing you mentioned.
Yeah.
If you just write link in the comment below, it's not as effective as if you put a finger pointing down.
Yeah.
I can't tell you what the exact data points are, but it is more effective.
Yeah. And also the carousels on LinkedIn themselves. Like the carousels, I find them I have more engagement whenever I post something with visuals, carousels, or a post with any image than when I put only text or when I put only a link. So there's less likely, people are less likely to even like, wait, oh, I want to see this. So it's human nature. We are visual.
The carousel is a great example. And you can also see it in the ad requirements on the large advertising platforms. They generally prohibit you from putting too much text because they know there's not enough engagement.
Yeah, people are going to get bored. I'm going to pass it. So talking about technology, and tools. Many legal techs tools focus on helping lawyers and the big firms. There's nothing wrong with that. We know there's a lot of money to be made in that realm. But also AI can be more efficient for the judiciary, have we been talking already. So make it more efficient, financially sustainable for the people using the judicial system. So what does profitable justice mean in this context?
So we were talking about before of the problem with underfunded justice. I believe AI is a good way to generate income for courts by leveraging court data. There's a lot of ways to do it. You could charge a subscription for accessing simulators to try and assess what your chances are. You could, but what I think would be most effective is offering an online small claims settlement service. How that would work, it would basically be a person submitting the details of their case to on the platform, having those case details analyzed by an AI, matched against a database of cases, and return a settlement offer based on the existing data.
Oh, wow.
You know, it's like for a case like yours, this is how the parties usually settle.
Okay.
That is something that you can charge for a very reasonable price compared to the price of a more extensive case. And you can re-inject that money into the court system.
Okay.
Of course, you always have court oversights. Of course, you always have the possibility to submit your case to a human judge, but you are able to offer an online service that is targeting the people that don't use legal services. At the Swiss Eagle Tech, we had discussed once with the Ministry of Justice of South Korea, and they had been able to measure how many, what was the percentage of the South Korean population, that didn't use the legal system. And it's a very large amount compared to the people who use the system. Okay. I don't know what the data is for Switzerland. I don't believe it exists. But if we realize that a significant share of the population doesn't use or doesn't engage with the court system when they have an issue, these people are, in effect, deprived of justice.
Yeah.
And there are many ways that we can think about a system where these people can be included. They can generate income without overloading the court system even more, and allow the court system to offer a solution to everyone. That's really the objective we're looking for. The key criteria is, can we do it at a price where the maintenance fees do not exceed the income.
Okay.
We have to find a way to make the service affordable, but it has to generate enough income to sustain itself.
Of course.
Ideally, a profit as well. And this is something you can do on a national level so that you can leverage the largest possible population, so that you can generate as much income as possible, and so that you can re-inject it in the legal system itself.
Yeah, because small claims has proven to be a successful processes all around the world, and it really helps, especially small businesses, independent people, or freelancers who just want to get on with their work and keep trying to make a living, or growing in their own businesses or their own art. So, and this provides them with access to justice. So it will be interesting to find that tool to read online, more accessible, more easier to understand. And often in this kind of course, you don't need a lawyer to represent yourself. You just need someone to guide you a little bit. And you can also do it yourself if it's not a very complex case.
I think we may be seeing, so specifically to the point you mentioned, you don't need a lawyer. I'm not even sure that you don't need a lawyer because, again, people, there is this notion that you don't understand the lingo.
Okay.
So it's not clear that people would not use a lawyer to make sure that they're presenting their case in the best way possible. Because obviously an AI would respond better to the legal lingo because that's how the case law is built.
Of course.
So you would still potentially need a lawyer. But then the question becomes, what kind of service are you getting from a lawyer? And I could very well see a new type of service offered by lawyers, which isn't the traditional activity that we think about. It could be simply, okay, I think my interns need to be trained. We have a very big challenge in training the newer generations. And the objective for trainee lawyers is to see as much of the practice as possible. It's to see as many cases as possible so that they can really understand the profession and develop their skill sets. Well, this could be something for trainee lawyers that can be reviewed by their supervisors. And then the service might be a short review to see if you're doing it the right way.
Yeah.
And of course, the pricing would be adapted to the service. It makes no sense to charge $2,000 for that. But you could also consider different kind of pricings. You could also be a nomad lawyer with very small, very low level of expenses. You could be living in a jurisdiction where the cost of living is lower. And I know that some lawyers that we have in Switzerland just work like that. They expatriate and they work from a distance. This is a perfect system for them. Likewise, it's a good system for training young lawyers. It's a good system for filling in the hours where you're not actually working.
Okay.
It's a good way to develop your network by word of mouth. So if you help somebody with a small case, they might think of you as well when they have a divorce or something that requires a bit more time. You might see more engagement with lawyers in general. You might reduce the barrier to consulting with a lawyer.
Okay.
So that it can work out in very different ways. But if you're making the legal system more accessible, then the market organizes around that. And it's very interesting to see how the market can respond to that. And generally speaking, the market organizes in a way that makes it profitable for many.
So always need a lawyer.
Or always?
You will always need a lawyer.
Of course you always need a lawyer. But on your own terms.
On your own terms, yeah.
You have the right to choose your lawyer. That is a fundamental guarantee of the legal process.
Yeah.
So I think lawyers stand to gain if we diversify our offer to more people.
Yeah.
It doesn't make economic sense to all fight for the same clients. because we're just dragging the prices down.
Yeah.
It makes more sense if we specialize in a certain type of, and we already specialize in anyway in certain
Quite a lot.
disputes,
Yeah.
but it also makes sense to specialize to a certain client base. And if you're charging 8 hours a day at 100 per hour, you're making as much as if you're not if you're charging 4 hours a day at 200.
Mm-hmm.
And then it also depends on how much income you need. I know a couple lawyers who enjoy the high complexity of cases, of mergers and acquisitions, really tough cases. Sure. But there are also lawyers who really who really like helping people who need legal help.
Yeah.
And if the system also allows them to operate effectively, then it's a win-win.
Yeah, because they will be more inclined to take more cases like that.
I definitely don't want to take any inheritance case. I don't like that.
For me, it's land. Anything regarding land or, oh, good Lord.
Yeah, we all have our pet peeves.
Terrible, terrible, terrible. Nothing wrong with it, but
no, it's just you like
it's
it.
just very, very boring.
I like tech. I like contracts.
Yeah,
I like
exactly.
IP.
I like IP, it's technology, creativity. I like dynamic. Yeah, I completely understand. I think for everyone will find their passion, and if we have tools to improve that, it's better for everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
So, should we imagine courts more like services, always on, digital first, or do we risk losing the human core of justice when we go fully online?
It has to be somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
It has to. Because the court system is working, but it's not in line with today's requirements. Today, the trends are being set by companies like those American giants. Possibly tomorrow they'll be set by Chinese giants. But the fact of the matter is, our ways of consumption have evolved. And a lot of service are being democratized.
Yeah.
They're becoming more accessible to more and more people. Who would have thought that your average Joe could invest and trade?
Yeah.
I mean, that was unthinkable 10 years ago. And then online small trading platforms started appearing and being successful. You had crypto platforms that developed. You have new technology coming all the time to target the general public, to make their offerings available to the widest group of people possible. That means that inevitably we're going to have to rethink how the legal services are offered. Can we make it a lot better? Yes. We do have a challenge to make it easier, faster, cost-effective, yes. But we cannot get rid of the human. And it's not going to happen for a very long time because AIs just don't have the capacity to replace humans.
Yeah.
And right now, let me say that we're getting AI at a really cheap price compared to what it actually represents.
Yeah.
And I mean, when Uber came out, I saw that on LinkedIn the other day. It was a very, very relevant comment. But when Uber came out, the rides were much cheaper than they are now.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same for AI.
They're going to hook us and then...
Well, yeah. Well, at least we might get used to AI being very cheap.
Yeah.
And we might not be ready for a price hike because, I mean, OpenAI is losing bucket loads of money. Yeah. It's like an unending fountain of money pouring in, but it's also a really holy bathtub.
Okay.
So, at least contrary to the Uber description, you have so many companies doing AI now that the scenario is not comparable.
Okay.
But we still get AI very cheap at the moment.
But it will get cheaper.
It might, or it might not, because a lot of companies are not making enough money to justify the investments.
Yeah.
At the moment, we're in a gigantic race at world level to...
Who's going to set the standard?
Sorry, who's going to
set the standard?
Well, actually, who's going to get artificial general intelligence first?
Oh.
This is basically, to put it mildly, that's basically the almost complete automation of human labor. But it also means the biggest geostrategic weapon that we've ever had. But an AGI can achieve roughly the same results without killing anyone, without destroying anything.
I don't know if that's better or worse.
It's 100 times worse at least.
Good Lord.
The reason why is you can coordinate attacks on infrastructure. You can coordinate disinformation campaigns. You can you can completely paralyze the financial system. You can absolutely break all the infrastructure. Everything can be paralyzed on a systematized attack.
Okay.
And it's unbeatable by a human because of the computational speed of an AI.
Needed, yeah.
So that's why that thing is actually in the crosshairs of all the major powers today. And they are very clearly saying that that's what they want to achieve, human-like intelligence.
Okay.
And the way we get there is obviously building the most advanced AIs, but by coupling it with quantum computing. Quantum computing is turbocharging your average processor exponentially. And I'm not making this up. Microsoft's announcements earlier this year, I think in March, with their Majorana processor, they want to go up to 1 million qubits. So qubit is basically the quantum computing version of bits. If you have 1 million qubits, you have a ginormous capacity to process, to calculate. You have unbelievably powerful processors. It's not comprehensible by the human mind. We're talking about numbers that go beyond the billion times faster.
Good.
It's not possible for the human brain to comprehend those levels of magnitude. So that's what we're dealing with.
So we're quite close to the general intelligence.
We're quite far, actually, because quantum computers nowadays go, I think, up to 1,000 qubits, but they're very unstable. Because to get that thing to operate, I'm sorry if I'm getting too
No, it's okay.
Brand,
it's interesting because on the Intangible in Spanish part, we talk about quantum computers. So it's good that we have that also on this side.
So if you have to get a quantum computer to work, you have to be able to control subatomic particles, meaning particles that are smaller than an atom. If you want to be able to control that, you need really very finely tweaked instruments. And it's very difficult to control a large number of them to get them to operate without error in a coordinated way. Let's put it like that. So we're having breakthroughs almost every 3 months at the moment, but we can already do that, but it's still out of reach for now with our level of technology. And AIs are having some significant challenges of their own to overcome. ChatGPT regularly forgets the instructions because of the size of its context window. So now we have much bigger context windows, sure. But if we want to process that level of data, we're nowhere near what we need. Will we make breakthroughs very quickly? Yes. We've been making breakthroughs at an alarming rate, but we're not there yet.
Okay.
And we've seen the tension there is on the market. A very good example of that tension is when NVIDIA lost $600 billion in a single day when DeepSeek was announced, because people thought, oh, actually they could do it for 1/100th of the price. So it's a very... And on top of that, we have this trade war going on in the background. We have political tensions rising because of autocrats everywhere. Autocrats are really prone to go into conflict. They like conflict. We very rarely see an autocrat having a cup of tea and chilling by the fireplace.
Okay.
So those profiles generally tend to want to project force, and that means conflict. So we don't really understand how the parts are going to play out. We could be looking at a couple years before we have something really dangerous, or we could be looking at a couple decades.
Okay. So we will be governed by superintelligence by the end of the century?
Oh, I wouldn't make any prediction for the end of this. I hesitate to make a prediction in 5 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But I would actually like to be governed by a superintelligence. It's just that, statistically speaking, a superintelligence is very likely to kill us all.
Yes, of course. We are not efficient. We are not. We are hindered to the environment. We are not
That's
all
our
good
way
in
of
nature.
seeing it.
Yeah.
We don't know if an AI would see it the same way.
But the AI is trained by us. It's going to
Yes.
learn that what we think of ourselves. So there you go.
But not necessarily, because it's very difficult to project how the advancements of the technology will impact its perception of its environment.
Okay.
It could also consider that, do you care about ants when you're walking in the street? Not really. You only care about ants when they start invading your kitchen.
It's true. When they're right in your face.
We don't really know.
Yeah.
But we have a tendency to personify the AIs with our own selves. We have a tendency to project how we would react on the AI.
But that's true.
And we would definitely see the AI as a risk. It's just that we're building it. So, of course, we have a bias in favor of it. Because you don't buy something you find, you don't build something you find stupid.
Exactly. I like what you say, that it's a reflection of us as well. It is, because it's often like that. Many times, even with human interactions, when people get sometimes offended, it's not about what you say sometimes, it's what they think you think. They think. So it becomes a whole thing, or they're reflecting on, or they already have an internal dialogue, and then you somehow touch that, and then that triggers something in that person, but you not necessarily mean to say it like that, or you were talking about something completely different.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Okay. I haven't thought about it that way, but yeah, it's a reflection of us, of what we think of ourselves as humans. But maybe it would be merciful. With me, I don't know, because I often fight with mine. I'm always fighting with, especially with the OpenAI one. I'm always fighting, saying like, no, this is not like this, it's not like that.
You're having
conversations
with an inanimate object?
Yes, I am. Yes. It's a step up of talking to myself.
At least you're good company, I mean, at least you understand what you want most of the time.
Exactly, kind of. It's complex.
Amazingly annoying discussions with AIs every now and then. It's amazingly infuriating.
Yeah.
Because then at some point it tries to patronize you.
Oh my God, yes.
It's so annoying.
And often also when I say, well, this is offensive, it's like, I didn't see it. And I was like, come on, you really didn't see it.
Yeah, you're just dodging.
Exactly, typically. So the last question of this segment, if you were asked to advise a government on implementing AI in courts, what would be your top 3 principles to ensure inclusion, efficiency, and long-term viability?
That's a really tough one. I think the number one aspect is distributed authority. You never want to have only one person making the decisions. You need to have some consultative body that has enough independence to be able to operate. So we know how that works in human societies, but we still have to try. We need to ensure that we have accountability for decisions that are made. We cannot have people just being immune for whatever reason in the world because they don't like accountability. Whoever does like accountability anyway, but we need it.
Okay.
So we absolutely need accountability, and we need to be able to enforce it. So the final thing, we need to maximize inclusivity and in the design of the system. So you need to have different profiles to understand the full depth of the system. You need to have lawyers, you need to have judges, you need to have politicians, you need to have technicians, you need to have architects, you need to have designers, you need to have psychologists, anything that can add a layer of understanding to the system is going to be beneficial. Then you also need to ensure that your data is considered a top priority strategic asset. You can't afford to let that data escape. You cannot afford to depend on one specific provider because that gives them too much leverage. You cannot afford to depend on one infrastructure for backup. You need to have multiple backups. You need to make sure that the whole security aspect is considered. The privacy aspects are considered. The ethical aspects are considered. All of that means you need to tackle the problem in a really responsible way, ensure accountability, and ensure that the accountability is enforced. On a personal level, you shouldn't be able to dodge accountability because you're behind a company.
Okay. So fairness.
I mean, you have to take it seriously.
Yeah.
Using that court data to actually implement a new way of working requires a really high level of security, of ethics, of compliance.
Of course.
And it's better to be overly cautious than perhaps a bit too complacent.
Perfect. I like that part of making yourself responsible and making yourself accountable for the decisions that you make or you let make according to the system you have created. So now we're going to go to the fun, fast part of the of the episode. I'm going to tell you two options and you will have to pick one without thinking too much. We have, let's start. Let's think fast, pick one. AI-powered small claims court or human judge with 9 months delay?
You can't just add the 9 months delay like that. You need a small claims court, but you also need the judge with 9 months delay.
Okay, you need both.
You need both.
Okay, but if you have to pick one?
You can't. I mean, I would be doing a disservice to my message.
True.
But you can make the judge more effective and you can answer in 6 months or 5 months, 3 months. That's what you're aiming for.
To push it down.
to push it down and make sure that the judge is equipped with the tools they need to be able to reach that level of performance without burning out, of course.
Yes, of course, because judges are humans.
They are. They're really good humans too.
Yes, of course. But they went into the profession probably because they believe in justice.
They do. And I mean, for every time I discuss with judges, I think they all welcome an opportunity to find the best possible outcome for a case.
Okay.
Something that is consistent with the law and that is fair.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. It's something that it keeps hope the hope alive as well.
Most public servants they really have our best interests at heart.
I love that. So a chatbot that resolve 80% of the issues, or a human lawyer most can afford.
Most can afford?
The most people cannot afford.
Again, you need both.
Yeah.
Because 80% of the cases might not go to a lawyer at all.
Oh, okay.
So in effect, they cannot afford that lawyer. But those 20% of cases, you can afford the lawyer and you need it. So it's a horribly difficult...
You're very Swiss in your answers.
But it's really true, right? I mean, if I try to look at the data, it's probably true.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as I like a chatbot, it's not equipped to deal with everything.
Yeah.
And an unaffordable lawyer, most of the time, they deal with really big legal cases, so they are by nature unaffordable to most people.
But there are other types of lawyers as well available. There's pro bono, there's other types.
Yeah, but those are not unaffordable.
True. I'm going out of my own questions. Okay, so next question. Radical simplification of legal language or keeping precision even if you understand it?
Yeah, you would need to keep the precision, but you would be able to use AI tools to simplify it.
Oh.
But you need the precision.
Okay, so there's a twist to it.
but that's what we're doing now. We're using AI to simplify it so that it's accessible. But if you use the analogy with the medical world again, it doesn't help the medical profession if we start using the technical vocabulary. We need to be able to use the proper name of a bacteria. But at the same time, we need to be able to explain it to the client. So you need the precision, but then you need also the translator.
The language for everyone, but without losing the precision.
Exactly.
Again, both then. Oh God, this has been very, very Swiss answers. Very neutral.
It's the interaction. It's important.
Okay, next question. I hope you pick one. Public access to digital legal tools or protecting them behind paywalls to fund the courts?
You need both. You need to charge a fee for the service because you need to fund the system. Otherwise, we know what it is. Otherwise, we just don't have a system at all. It just doesn't operate.
Okay.
But the question is, where do you strike the balance? And I don't have the answer to that. It needs to be analyzed from an economic standpoint, from a financial standpoint. It's really not something I can say one or the other.
Okay.
Of course, I prefer free access to courts for everyone. I would prefer that, but it's not realistic.
The courts need to be paid.
Yes. And the resources and the infrastructure and everybody.
Yeah, of course. It's a system that needs to be sustained.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Okay, let's see. The next one is the good one. Open source tools for justice or proprietary platforms for control?
Oh, open source.
Okay, we have one.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You cannot have proprietary technology because you're just locked out.
Okay.
And you don't have transparency. You don't have accountability. You cannot have a community-driven improvement. Open source for that kind of software, is my view, is much better.
Perfect. See, he picked one. Okay, then we have free legal access for all, even if it means more false claims, or tighter filters that exclude some real needs.
I like the first option.
Okay.
Because we already have mechanisms in place to deal with frivolous claims. So the procedure code, the Code of Civil Procedure or the criminal procedure, there is always something to deal with frivolous claims. So I'm perfectly happy with free access.
Okay, free access. Yay, 2 in a row. This is great. Redesign the courts online for online access, or redesign society for fewer people need to use them.
You need both.
We're back to neutrality.
It's not neutrality. It's you need both.
Okay.
Although it's much easier to simplify the court system than to tailor society to not need so much assistance. Especially because those kind of adjustments occur over an extremely long period of time. It takes a really long time to educate a population on a societal level. So in the meantime, you need to have easily accessible systems. But it's not an excuse to do neither. You really have to work on both, because every country stands to gain when the population becomes more proficient at something.
Yeah, makes sense. You make your case. Empower users with AI to understand the law themselves, or invest in more human help to walk them through it.
I would go for empowering users with AI with the notion that you will have people available to help.
So both.
Yes, you will have them because it's a market.
Okay.
And some people have specific needs. You cannot address all the needs with just one tool. So at least that for now you can't. But yeah, you would probably need help on the side as well in any case.
Okay.
And I think it's also a healthy system because it promotes best practice development. It promotes the development of good tools in general. So yeah, you have advisors, you have users. I think those two work really well together to improve a system in general.
Okay. And finally, courts that adapt to people's life or people who must adapt to the courts.
Yeah, it has to be the courts that adapt to people's lives, but there's a lag.
Mm.
There's a lag. So in effect, it would be good if the courts were always aligned with what the people need, but it's impossible.
Yeah.
So the people have to be able to use the court system, and the court system can follow with the lag that is inherent to how it operates and how any institution is going to operate. Especially in a country like Switzerland, with a lot of diversity of language, of culture, you're going to have this lag anyway. So the primary objective is to make sure the people feel comfortable using the court system, but over a longer period of time to get the court system to follow up and make itself more accessible. So you have one party doing a lot of the road and the other one doing a bit of it.
Okay. Yeah, because the law is meant to serve the people.
Yeah.
And the people change, the culture changes, society changes, and we evolve. We have different needs, different understanding of what we need.
Yeah.
So it's important to follow closely.
Yeah, you have to.
Okay, now the game part. Take the little paddle there. So on one side you have true, and another side you have futuristic. So I'm going to give you a statement, and then you tell me if you think it's true, meaning that it's happening right now, or it's about to happen. On the other side, futuristic, if you believe that is something that is far in the future, or is never going to happen, or is false. Okay, first question. Are you ready? Citizens will file and resolve simple claims from their smartphones without a lawyer.
That's true. It's already happening.
Okay. National courts will offer express automated resolutions for minor disputes.
Yep, I think it's already happening as well.
Okay. Multilingual AI assistants will replace legal aid.
Yeah, futuristic.
Legal information will be distributed via voice assistants to people without literacy access.
Again, please.
Legal information will be distributed via voice assistants to people without literacy access.
Yeah, that's already happening, yes.
People will trust virtual legal advisors more than traditional ones because they actually understand them.
Better?
Okay. True.
The problem is, I think it's worth saying it. AIs have an amazing ability to understand a person's emotional states.
Okay.
And it overperforms humans. It outperforms humans. So being understood, the AI might very well give you the feeling that it understands you better.
Oh, wow.
So this is already a reality today. Will the AI be trusted more in a court case? I think it really depends on what we're talking about. If you are the victim of harassment on your employment at the office, you need a human presence near you in some cases to attend conciliation hearings, to attend court hearings. The AI is not going to give you that reassuring presence and speak up for you and directly intervene. You're not going to get that. And that's something that's really necessary in some context. Likewise, if you are accused of a crime and you are in a criminal hearing, you really need a human next to you to help you through it, especially if you are innocent.
Because of the mental load of the process.
You have the mental load. You don't understand when you need to open your mouth. You don't understand what you can say, what you can't say, how you can say it. You don't have any authority. People think you already did it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be there.
You're the worst of humans.
Yes. And ultimately, nobody is ensuring that the criminal system is properly applied except for the lawyer that is defending you in the room. That's the only guardian of the proper application of the legal system in the room.
Okay.
Because if the prosecutor just doesn't do the work well enough, or they're also underwater with cases. So I've seen it already where you try to bundle up a bunch of offenses on a specific person so you can get rid of them, and it doesn't change anything for them anyway because they did at least 2 or 3 of them.
Oh, wow.
It does happen. And this is not a criticism of the prosecutors because they have a really tough job as well. They're being lied to all day. They have to make sense of really complex or sometimes unavailable evidence. They have a public mission to make sure the society is safe. So I'm not minimizing the importance of the role. It's just that you need somebody to be able to ensure that the law is applied fairly and that the person isn't given more time in jail than they should, that the fines are not higher than they should, that they shouldn't be fined if normally you're not fined for that offense. So that lawyer is the only person ensuring that the law is applied properly. So that role has to stick with a human.
It has to stay. Interesting. Okay. I even lost my train of thought. It was very interesting. It was, yes, I can see your point completely.
You're talking about preemptive policing.
Yeah, exactly. Did you watch the movie with Tom Cruise? That he will get people before they committed the crime.
Minority Report?
Yes, Minority Report. Good Lord.
That is prohibited.
Futuristic.
It's prohibited.
It's prohibited.
The AI Act actively prohibits preemptive policing. You cannot be held guilty for something you haven't done. You can be caught for the offense of preparing to commit a crime, but then it's the crime of preparing to commit a crime. But you cannot be arrested for the crime that you haven't committed.
Yeah.
And you cannot be arrested preemptively because statistically speaking or probabilistically speaking, you would have committed a crime. That's even worse.
Yeah. And also, many times people think about doing something and then it never happens. They never do it.
Yeah.
No,
that is really, that's a prohibited AI under the AI Act. With good reason.
With good reason, yes. Okay. The right to digital justice access will be enriched in future constitutions. The right to digital justice access will ensure, so it will be included in future constitutions.
I think that's true, but I don't think they're going to modify the Constitution for that unless you need a political stunt.
Okay.
Because you can probably already derive that right from existing fundamental guarantees, such as the right to a fair trial, such as the right to an independent judge, such as the right to information about you. There are specific rights that you can use, or the right to due process that you can use to construct a right to be able to defend yourself using the most advanced technology. So in a system where the Constitution can be interpreted in accordance with its time, such as we have here in Switzerland, it could possibly already be done. And I'm not a constitutional scholar by any stretch of the mind, but I think you could do it.
Okay.
At least in the future, you will be able to. In the US, it wouldn't be possible because they interpret the Constitution as their framers intended it.
Oh.
So, yeah.
It's different according to jurisdiction. But the medium changes, but the core of the principle stays the same. Access to justice is still the same. Doesn't matter if it's access digital or access physical.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about specifically the right to access an online court system with digital enhancements, that is a more advanced concept, and you probably might need a bit of legislation to get there.
Yeah.
But also, it's not necessary to enshrine it in the Constitution, because you could basically modify the existing laws, because that would derive from existing protections and guarantees, I think.
You take the principle and then you make it practical with the
Yes.
law. Yeah, makes sense. Okay. You receive an automated notification before you even realize you've broken the law.
Again, illegal.
No, you don't even use it, but it's like, no.
It's illegal. No,
It doesn't deserve it.
No, I mean, the implication of you being monitored to the level that there is so many layers of technologies and so many monitoring tools that need to be in place for that to happen. I mean, I wouldn't want to live in a society where that is possible.
No freedom.
I mean, that means you're constantly monitored, even when you go to the bathroom.
Oh, God. Oh, big brother.
Worst level of Big Brother.
Okay.
This is much more powerful and technologically potent.
Yes,
It would be a worse kind of Big Brother.
It's not just cameras.
No. This is, you have the drone army that's going to just fly through the window and get you to do what they want,
Okay, next question. Legal time travel. Tech will simulate how a past ruling will play.
That's futuristic and inadmissible.
Okay. Again, in the same realm.
Because it's a reconstitution, but the whole court system is based on the fact that you cannot know exactly what happens. And any kind of reconstruction, which we already do today, by the way, is always subject to variables that you haven't been able to account for. So legal reconstruction, even through AI, would not be evidence. Like, it wouldn't be overwhelming evidence.
Yeah.
It would just be, okay, this is
informative.
What we think happens, but you would still have the ability as a defense lawyer to raise a reasonable doubt as to whether this reconstruction is accurate or not. So time travel, well, we know it's not possible in the past, at least by today's technology. And it probably would create so much mess that it wouldn't be realistic.
We will have too many multiple universes then.
I would actually love us to invent time travel to the past, but it would be such a mess.
It would be such a mess. People would not respect the boundaries. They will mess up everything. They would like to change everything.
Oh, no, that's really a line you shouldn't cross, by the means.
It's interesting to be an observant of the past, but traveling to the past is a different thing.
Yeah, or if you travel to the past, go visit the dinosaurs instead.
Very far away. But then you crush a leaf and then humanity changes forever.
Yeah, you would still have the extinctions, the great extinctions. Yeah. So the leaf wouldn't prevent the asteroid from colliding with the Earth.
But you know that's a theory, right?
The butterfly theory?
No. The asteroid destroying the dinosaur is a theory. It's not an absolute fact.
Well, I mean, yes.
I learned about that recently. I thought it was an absolute fact that there's
a contributing factor.
Yes.
To be specific, you're right.
And there's the dust that happened, the chain of volcanoes. All of that is they have strong facts, strong indices that it happened, but they're not 100% sure. Of course,
created new theory.
Yes, so
it's not a lone factor. You're absolutely right.
But I went completely sideways. But it's something.
It's completely fair.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. It's not the full explanation.
Again, with the reconstruction, you cannot really reconstruct exactly what happened, because you can have an idea, you can have like some information, but you don't have the full story.
Yeah, because some things just don't leave traces.
Yeah, it's true. Interesting. Okay, then justice system will allow crowd-funded buried overrides
oh God, no.
through civic voting platforms.
Hell no. No,
Futuristic.
no. This is nonsense.
No,
I'm
not
saying
even. No, not even. You deserve
I mean,
nothing.
to be fair, it already happens,
Oh, no.
but not in
In the-
state court
not
cases.
legally.
No, it doesn't happen legally. So we have internet tribunals and stuff like that to judge stuff on a
Yeah.
fun basis or on a
Yeah.
slightly weird basis. But
The court of public opinion.
no, you don't do that. No, because there is no guarantee of fundamental rights in a court in the court of public opinion. So it effectively destroys what we've been so
Jealous.
engaged in building for so many years to make sure we don't condemn innocent people and to make sure that we act reasonably towards offenders.
Yeah, and just because someone is unpopular doesn't mean that they're wrong.
Oh, definitely not.
You can be unpopular, you can be right or innocent.
And the problem with that is the more you resort to the public opinion court, the more you can damage somebody's reputation accidentally. And that can cause really big issues. You have some people who just really come after you because they think, and they may have really good reasons to think, it's just that it's not true.
Mm-hmm.
They think that you've committed the offense and they just go after you.
They have convinced themselves.
Yeah. And you can't even blame them because the reasoning isn't that, I mean, the reasoning is wrong, but the elements, those are the elements that were given.
Yeah, of course.
So it's a conclusion that unfortunately is wrong, but it's a really hard case to handle then because you have a person who's persuaded to be correct, who is relying on tangible evidence, who doesn't interpret them the right way maybe, who's missing elements maybe, but it's a valid foundation. And you're just throwing that person, to the sharks without a valid reason. Yeah,
just because you understand it's right. That's why we need the courts.
It's really dangerous. We don't want to do that.
Well, that's why we need neutrality.
And we don't want the court of public opinion.
No. Okay, final question. Judges will be banned from making rulings without AI.
No.
So
there isn't no.
You want to know? He wants a no palette. No side.
There's no reason to do that.
Okay.
Because you want the control to remain with the humans. That means you want a human to be able to overrule the AI, or you want the human to be able to make a decision without the AI, potentially on a case that never presented itself to the AI. And where it's not able to give a good. So you can have good practices, which is to do research with AI. That is already something. That is already a thing where you could arguably claim that if you're a lawyer, you should be using all the tools available to ensure the best defense possible of your clients. And the American Bar Association's guidelines require the lawyers to already have an understanding of the technologies so that they can leverage them where necessary to help the clients to the best of their abilities, which is our obligation. We have to do the best we can.
Of course.
So you can claim that it's already implicitly necessary. I don't think it's been ruled on, at least in Switzerland, but it could already be there potentially. But you wouldn't find, you wouldn't have a rule that says the lawyer cannot do anything without an AI, because then potentially, if you have a disruption of electricity, you don't have an AI anymore. You don't have a court system.
And there's nothing to do then. You would just sit and wait.
Yeah, we just go on holiday. And people can wait for their case. That would be terrible.
Yeah.
That would be beach level judgments.
Okay, so let's go to the final big picture question. If you could give one piece of advice to people building legal systems, platforms, or policies around AI and justice, what should they never forget, especially if the goal is fairness for everyone?
I think I have to go back to my previous points to policymakers, I think it really has to be making sure that you're not depending on any single actor, that you have redundancies, that you have security, that you have ethics, that you have economic intelligence even, because you're going to be a target of hacking attempts. You're going to be a target of so many different things. You're going to want to be able to respond to different kinds of scenarios. So make sure that whatever it is you're building, when we're talking about online courts and using AI to help people settle cases, you have to make sure that what you're building is as resilient as it can be. And if we're only talking about AI creators, I don't know. I mean, everything's changing so fast. It's just like the moment you come out with a software, somebody comes out with a more modern version of your software. It's extremely frustrating. My really big complaint about AI is that it's going so fast. We do not need to pour the trillions of dollars that we're currently pouring on AI. We don't need to do it. I really think that we should take a step back, like Elon Musk advocated until he had caught up in the race with everybody else, and then he stopped advocating for it. But pause and try to develop these frontier models, so the most advanced models, try to develop them in a context such as CERN for nuclear particle research, such as ITER in France for fusion energy. Build a common science lab, pour those $1 trillion down there and cooperate, because that reduces the incentive to engage in a war, in an arms race.
Okay.
And second, have institutions like the atomic energy, the institution, the agency for I forgot what the acronym is, but the International Agency for Atomic Energy. I got it. Use something like that to monitor, to check what everybody's doing, so that you have guarantees that while you're holding back from developing these really dangerous technologies, the other ones are not steaming ahead and overtaking you.
Okay.
I think that's really what I would be focused on, is trying to cool down the race, build institutions so that we build it reliably, like we're doing for other frontier technology, and try to have an organism that can help us work together. Try to have treaties like the denuclearization treaty. It was successful until it wasn't, but at least it was successful in reducing the stockpile of nuclear weapons. I'm very happy that we have 6,000 or 12,000 less nuclear warheads in the world. I think you have to follow the same kind of logic, because the amount of money we're investing now in AI is incomparably greater than what we invested to develop nuclear weapons.
Okay.
And we still have a climate change challenge. We still have educational challenge. We still have hunger in the world challenges. We have so many challenges. We don't know how we're going to deal with the next pandemic, if
it happens.
So, we haven't changed our habits. So if human experience is any kind of guideline, it will happen again, because we haven't changed the behaviors that led us to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's my closing word. Let's do this responsibly, using other models that we've developed to do it responsibly, and that actually worked.
And keep the human always.
Oh yeah,
in mind.
You have to keep the human in mind, of course.
Thank you.
This has to be done by humans anyway. There is no future for humankind at the moment if we continue on the path we're on, because the odds are that we're going to mess up really badly.
Oh, good Lord.
So that's the gloom and doom to end the talk, is it?
Yeah, beautiful. So justice doesn't have to stay locked behind long waits, high fees, and legal jargon. It can be translated, automated, and still holds its soul. Thank you, Nicolas, for showing us how technology can open more just than apps, and it can open systems that have felt closed by too many for too long.
Thanks to you. It was a real pleasure to chat with you, and thanks so much for your insights. It was a really pleasant chat. I hope the gloom and doom isn't the only message you keep from this.
No, there's always a little light.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Intangiblia, the podcast of intangible law. Plain talk about intellectual property. Did you like what we talked today? Please share with your network. Do you want to learn more about intellectual property? Subscribe now on your favorite podcast player. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Visit our website, www.intangiblia.com. Copyright Leticia Caminero 2020. All rights reserved. This podcast is provided for information purposes only and should not be considered as legal advice or legal opinion.